Hello, I'm Sifu Kuttel, and in this video we're going to be working with the Tai Chi fan. We're going to be doing some kicking techniques with the fan, and to keep it simple, we're going to practice with both closed and open fan. Now, when it comes down to the technique, it's nothing different than what we already do in our empty hand forms. However, you do need to have a little bit of better understanding of your distance and reach with the fan added in your hand. Okay, so grab your fan and let's get to work. To begin with, we're going to put the fan down. We're going to start with the empty hand version of this because there's a lot going on. In the beginning, we're going to be throwing a kick with one leg. We're going to step down, turn around, and then throw a kick with our other leg. This is just looking at the legs and not even at the hands at this point. So we have a lot to focus on, from pivoting, weight distribution, maintaining balance, and then our hands in the correct position while we're kicking. So let's look at just the footwork and pivoting first. So what I want you to do is go ahead and you just step out to a neutral position. And then we're going to shift our weight towards our toes and then bring our heels out to the side. Okay, so again, this is on my toes only. Up on the toes, turn, and then put the heels down, more or less pointing in the same direction. Okay, bring it back, and then to the other side. Bring it back to the other side. Bring it back to the other side. Now let's make it a little bit more smooth and let's shift from side to side. So now we turn all the way, pivot all the way. All of my weight shifts towards my back leg, and then we pivot to the other side. Both toes are pointing in the same direction. Notice even though I shift my weight, I'm not tilting over. I don't want to lose my balance here. This becomes very important, especially when we're setting up for our kick. So pivot and then put the weight on that back leg. Okay, now this may seem a little silly, but it's very important because now we're going to have to do this with a step. So now I want you to take that foot, we're going to step across, notice the legs are crossed here, and then pivot and turn around. Okay, so again, I'll do the same thing facing this way. I step across, notice my toes, I want to turn as much as possible, because that makes this pivot a lot easier once I turn around. Again, step, pivot. Notice it's very comfortable, it's very natural. I can already start turning as if I'm walking away, step, and pivot. If I'm facing towards you, I step, pivot. Take a step, pivot. Sit on the heels. Okay? Now that we have this down, we can start setting up for our kick. Again, we're not going to use our hands yet, and I'm not going to kick out. I need to get used to my static balance and leg lift. So we're going to start by raising our right leg, stepping across towards the left, shifting, and then raise the left leg. You want to make sure this is nice and smooth, nice and comfortable. Both kicks or both leg raises are going in the same direction. It's over towards my right. So I raise, step, pivot, raise. Okay? Now, if I'm facing this way, I raise, step, pivot, raise. Okay? If I'm facing this way, I want to be keeping my eyes in that direction. I'm going to first raise, step, pivot, raise. And finally, if I'm facing towards you, I raise, step, pivot, raise. Now let's do the hands. This way we can focus on everything working together before we actually have to focus on that leg extended balance for the kick. Okay? So we'll start, cross the hands, raise, extend out. Step, pivot, and cross. Raise, extend out. Okay, if I'm facing this way, I'm going to start nice and light. Cross the hands, raise, out with the hands, step, pivot, cross, raise, out with the hands. Again, if I'm facing this way, raise, out, step, pivot, raise, out. Now let's kick. Okay, so this is going to still stay on the same timing. Cross, raise, but now when we say out, everything goes out. Hands and feet together. And then pivot, turn, raise, everything goes out. Okay, so let's do this. Cross, raise, everything goes out. Turn and pivot. Cross, raise, everything goes out. Now we're going to first begin with the fan closed, and we're going to hold it straight up as if we can open it. Okay? The main difference between everything else is that we just keep the fan pointing straight up and down, and our hand itself, instead of being pointed up with the fingers, is going to have more of a forward pitch. The back hand is going to do the exact same thing, so we have this balance. Back fingers are up, front hand fan is up. Now, we're not going to switch hands. So for the first kick, it's going to be in the front. For the second kick, it's going to be in the back. Okay, but the exact same thing. So now we cross, raise, everything goes out. Then we step, cross. Because the fan is closed, we can cross our empty hand on the outside. Raise and extend and kick. Again, I start cross, my fan is on the outside, raise, everything extends, turn, cross, my left hand is on the outside, raise, everything extends out. Now, this is quite simple. So now let's try it with the open fan. This is where we have to make a couple of slight adjustments. As we come up and bring the fan up and out, it should appear more like you're fanning with the fan itself. Again though, we want to end with the fan up and down and our hand in the same position in the back. Okay, so the back hand, the empty hand, is always going to end up in the same position. The biggest change that's going to happen here is that anytime we cross our hands, our empty hand will automatically cross to the inside, so the fan will come around the outside. If you try to do it the other way, it's very uncomfortable. You start touching your arm, you can't even cross at the wrist, or if you do, you get tied up by the fan. So as we do this, every time cross the empty hand on the inside, fan on the outside, raise, extend everything out, turn, cross, the empty hand still on the inside, raise, extend everything out. Okay, if I'm facing this way, cross, fan on the outside, raise, everything out. Step, pivot, turn, cross, raise, everything out. And really, it's as simple as that. Okay, so there you have it. You can easily see when we take the steps from going from the empty hand position and getting the footwork down, moving to the closed fan, and then finally to the open fan. It's a very simple and natural progression. If you start with just the fan open, it can become very difficult because you're frustrated because you're trying to focus on what the fan is doing, and then you're losing balance and you're not paying attention to the footwork. So I do suggest, just as we did, you take your time and work through the steps and really do it diligently. Once you have a good understanding of how that works, then you can just practice with the fan, either in the closed and open, as we will see it both ways in the forms. I hope you enjoyed this workout. I'll see you in the next.